Hello, I am the gaming superhero, and today we are making a kit for the assistant turned CEO turned superhero rescue. A hero whose main inspiration to become a hero was explicitly for search and rescue, not to fight bad guys. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This is going to be a great example of how, despite also using an Iron Man suit, they are still capable of a wide variety of things that make for a distinct kit. Shout out to Leo Chase the Mistmaster again for guessing it was rescue, both on Discord and YouTube. I don't entirely know why he felt the need to do both, but hey, you know what? I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth there. I'm fine with either one. But with that, let's get through her first appearance so we can get to the kit. Virginia Pepper Potts first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 45 in June of 1963. Making this 62 years of Pepper Potts. Cool. But we aren't talking about this story. We are jumping to her first appearance as Rescue in Invincible Iron Man number 10 in 2009. So it took her 46 years to suit up, which is crazy. We open with a press conference with President Osborn answering questions on how he is addressing Stark's apparent betrayal of the human race to the Skrulls. Because this was after the Secret Invasion event. He assures the public he is doing his best to capture him. He is then asked what crime Tony did to warrant the manhunt, to which Osborn gives a surprisingly weak excuse. Like, obviously all of this is a lie to get rid of Iron Man and steal his tech, but I expected Norman to have, like, a better excuse lined up for it. It's not like this is a particularly unexpected question, but whatever. We then cut to Pepper in Tony's office as she is the acting CEO of the company to oversee its total collapse, while Tony and Maria Hill are hiding in some kind of Stark bunker. Tony is physically plugged into something. I don't know what or why, all I know is I hate it. Tony has devised a plan to stop the madness, which is to have Maria steal a hard drive and deliver it to Captain America while he runs from Hammer, and try to disable all the Iron Man armors so neither Osborn or Hammer could use them. Tony and Maria then make love in a giant warehouse full of Iron Man armors. Pepper, meanwhile, has a meltdown after the defamation to Tony's character on the news. This, however, reveals a secret room with the rescue armor inside. It is then, because I forgot to mention this earlier, on the news, the defamation was also an ultimatum. So Tony was, demanded to show up in Central Park by within a day, or be officially on the run, avoiding the law. And he doesn't show up, obviously. So then Hammer goes nuts. It's a very unrelated to current events, I'm sure. But anyway, they go around imprisoning all sort of Stark employees. And just sort of rampantly searching, and just doing totally unrelated things to current events. This is very fun. 2009. This is 2009. Woo! Anyway, they get to the CEO office, and Pepper is gone because she flew away in the rescue armor. Maria Hill also blew up that bunker full of Iron Man suits. So yeah, that's where we end the issue, with Pepper suited up and the authorities coming after all of Stark Industries. Pretty cool. It's coming a pattern with these Iron characters where they're very topical. War Machine had a reference to Hawaii, which I then tied into Lilo and Stitch, which was probably a bit forced. But this one also ties into more recent events. Not as fun. Not in as fun a way as War Machine did, but still doing it. But yeah, that's the story. Pretty fine as a single issue. Obviously, there's more to be read, but we don't have time for that, and you don't really care. So let's get into the kit. She is a support, to the shock of absolutely no one. Her primary fire is very similar to Iron Man's, except it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it does give allies bonus health. Up to a maximum amount, I have not decided. But notably, the primary fire does not heal. She can heal, we will get to that later, but, it's not from her primary fire. She has a movement ability to dash in any direction. Also, she is a flying character, before I forget. You have 3 charges to use at once for really fast dodging, or use them sparingly for emergencies. I also gave her a passive that allows her to see invisible characters. That's right, Psylocke and Invisible Woman are not safe when rescue is on the scene. I don't know what necessarily she will do with that information, but she has it. That's useful, especially if you're on comms. Ability 1 is Repulsion Field. Either apply it to yourself or an ally to deflect projectiles, like Captain America's shield, or knock back enemies that are really close, within melee range. The shield doesn't have a health pool and can't be destroyed by enemies, but that is because it only lasts like a max of something like 2 seconds. I'm also thinking you have 2 to use, so you can apply 1 to yourself and 1 to an ally to give both of you that benefit, or to just 2 separate allies. This is to differentiate it further from Magneto's bubble shields, where he only has 1, either himself or somebody else. So I thought I'd differentiate them in that way, beyond just them acting differently. Ability 2 is Life Support, sending a burst of healing in a large radius around rescue that will also have a small bit of healing over time after the initial burst, similar to Baptiste's heal field. You can also heal rescue. As such, it will need a somewhat long cooldown so as to not make her invincible, but then again, with the quick time to kill, that might not be a major issue. But regardless, this is her only healing ability, so it needs to be pretty effective. The ultimate is Safe Zone. Create a dome that blocks enemy projectiles and also keeps them out. They can't enter the zone, but if they are in the area when it is created, they can't leave and are forced to fight your whole team alone, or with any other enemies also in the zone. It's also a stationary dome. It doesn't follow rescue around, so be careful where you put it. And that's all it does. There is no healing from the dome, just a space enemies can't enter. I tried to avoid the circle that heals, making everyone invincible, but now that I think about it, I just took the invulnerability zone to its most literal extreme, but it doesn't really matter. If you put the dome over the team fight, with all enemies and allies inside anyway, so, on second thought, I think I will give the inside of the dome healing, but like super minor. More so for the sake of topping off, rather than out healing the enemy's damage. So like, any other support's primary healing, just like from their primary fire, would be more than healing you get from the dome. I guess think of it more like an Ultron drone. Nothing like crazy, but something nice to have while you're just sitting in the dome waiting for something to happen. You get to top off your health a bit. Finally, we have a team up with Iron Man called Personal Assistant. Link up with Iron Man to split his unibeam to hit all enemies within line of sight and range of the beam. The link is similar to how the fastball special works, where both players need to agree and then are stuck together, shooting lasers everywhere. Can't say how good this would be, given both characters can't do anything else, but the damage could be pretty sweet. This move is inspired by Avengers Endgame, when they teamed up to shoot lasers everywhere. Although in-game, I imagine it is more of a light refraction, where Iron Man shoots into Rescue's back, and then she produces the multiple lasers from her little drone wing things that are pretty cool. And that's how I would add the love of Iron Man's life. At least in the MCU. I don't know what the relationship is like in the comics, but I know Iron Man was married to Emma Frost for a little bit. And, this very issue I read earlier had him doing it with Maria Hill, so I don't know what's going on in the comics, but I know in the MCU, they love each other. A very cool support that does a little more than just healing. Nothing crazy, but I think still very worth adding to the game. I also like how this really shows how much the Iron Man armors are capable of, especially with a game like this, making each Iron character unique enough. The sky's the limit, especially with how basic Iron Man is in the game currently. They really just left the door open for any future Iron people. But do you agree? Would you make rescue differently? Let me know in the comments or on the Discord, because that's always available in the description. And you're welcome for allowing you to finally play as a receptionist.